ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम्। आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजा पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। Welcome back, nice to see you. We were ending chapter 92 with this verse that after Suparshva discouraged Ravana from hurting, killing, or cutting off Sita Devi's head, thankfully he took or heeded that advice, and Valmiki gives him a little bit of credit where it is due. And the chapter ends with Gruham Jagamata Tatascha Viryavan Punasabham cha Prayayo Suhridhrutaha. Gruham Jagamata Tatascha. At that time, he went back to his home. And interestingly, Valmiki calls Ravana Viryavan, a very powerful, heroic Ravana. Punasabham cha Prayayo. And then he entered again into his assembly where all of this council of ministers are there. Suhridhrutaha. A Ravana is a person who is being maintained by, or a person who possesses Suhrid, well-wishers. Interesting is that Valmiki refers to Ravana as Viryavan. What is the heroism that Ravana demonstrated here? Generally, we think heroism, not we, generally it is thought that heroism means one who fights very well, one who can win, one who has great strength and can stand up and face any situation with difficulty and come out of it successfully. Such a person is a hero, Viryavan. The real Viryavan here is that he had the intelligence to listen to good advice and not attack Sita. This is heroism. It's not only when one fights very well, but to also know where not to fight. Have the wisdom that this is a battle I should not take up because the risks are too high, or that this is not dharmic, more than the risks, dharmic. Because as a warrior going to a battlefield, the risk is death is definitely the risk. But here, the fact that he did not attack Sita is Viryavan, the wise. The heroism is that he did not attack someone who is a woman of weaker, lower in strength according or in comparison to him. Of course, Sita Devi is far more powerful. I don't mean it to diminish Sita's strength, but just from that he is a warrior, she's a woman in his captivity, and he did not subject her to abuse. That is heroism. One should fight with someone of their equal strength and valor, not fight with someone weaker and win over them and think I am a hero. So real heroism is to know who to face off with. And he's been given another name, Suhridhritaha, one who is born with or supported by well-wishers. So this chapter 93 starts with Sa Pravishya Sabham Raja. This king entered his sabha, his courtroom. Deenaha Paramadukkhitaha. He was Deena and Paramadukkhita, very, very sad on the account of his son Indrajit having been killed. Nishasadasane Mukhye Simha Kruddha Iva Swashan. Nishasada Asane. He sat down on a seat. What kind of seat? Mukhye. That means that is his Simhasana. And Simha Kruddha Iva, and was angry and breathing like an angry lion. Hold on a second. Okay. Somebody's knocking on the door. Even if I didn't respond, they're persistently knocking. Okay. Okay. Abravit Satan Sarvan Balamukhyan Mahabala. And then he spoke to all of his strong, capable warriors, ministers, and well-wishers sitting around, because he was very afflicted on the death of his son. He said, surrounded by the entire army of elephants, horses, and long lines of chariots and foot soldiers, all of you march. So he says, now previously he's been sending groups or battalions of armies. And now he says, Bhavantaha Sarvena, take everything that we have, whatever is remaining, large army that is still remaining, the chariots, the horses, elephants, and foot soldiers, infantry, make a long line and go to the battlefield. And in that battlefield, you should surround Sri Rama. And you have to kill him in battle, even if it means you have to discharge your arrows like how clouds pour rain showers during the monsoon. Now, we generally, at least in the US, we may not have a good experience of monsoon. We may have an experience of a snow blizzard, although it snows slowly and it accumulates. But monsoon, especially I grew up in a city, Mumbai, where monsoon means it rains heavily. It's like a curtain of rain and doesn't stop for 3-4 days at a stretch. No respite, it just keeps pouring. The city gets flooded up to your knees or thighs, and the city comes to a standstill. Like that shower of arrows, without any stop, shoot upon Rama and his army. With all of these battalions, they heard Ravana's command, and they raised up their weapons, all ready, their swords, their maces, their bows, and they were ready to fight and kill all of the Vanaras. Now, that's how they went to battle. And they just completely started massacring the Vanaras, the monkeys. And the monkeys didn't keep quiet. They picked up their weapons, which were tree trunks and rocks and boulders and mountain tops. And they were hurling them at the Rakshasas. They fought through the night. When the sun was about to rise, the battle became even more fierce, and the sound was tumultuous. You could hear the roaring of the monkeys and the Rakshasas everywhere. There were all sorts of weapons being hurled at each other, darts, swords, spears, javelins. There was everything on the battlefield. And because they are rushing at each other, they are fighting on the battlefield, there was so much dust that was raised by the two armies that you could not see anything. It was as if they're fighting in a dust storm. The only thing that settled the dust was the streams of blood that was oozing out from the warriors that they were fighting. And that is what settled the dust. These Vanaras, Rakshasas, they were leaping from one place to another. The monkeys, the monkey generals, the chiefs, they began to destroy everything for the Rakshasas. They broke the chariots, killed the horses, killed the chariot driver, broke the banners and the flags, tore apart all the armor that the Rakshasas were wearing, and like anything created a severe mayhem on the battlefield. It was so horrific that you can visualize as I repeat or read this verse. Valmiki is drawing such a gory but a image for us to see how the Vanaras were fighting. Keshan Karla Lalatam cha Nasikascha Plavangama Rakshasam Dashanaisti Kshanae Nakhaischapi Vyakartayan Vikartaya. Vikarta means to tear. Kartari. In Sanskrit, a scissor is called kartari because it cuts. So Vikartayan means they were tearing apart. And what were they tearing? They're tearing the Rakshasas. The monkeys, they tore off the Rakshasas with their sharp teeth and nails. And what were they tearing? They were tearing or plucking off the Rakshasas' hair. They were tearing off the ears of the Rakshasas. They were tearing out and biting out the eyebrows, the noses of the Rakshasas. And Ekaikam Rakshasam Sankhye Shatam Vanara Pungava. 100 leaders of monkeys rushed at every single Rakshasas. Imagine one Rakshasa being attacked by 100 monkeys. Ekaikam Rakshasam Sankhye Shatam Vanara Pungava. Abhyadhavanta Phalinam Vriksham Shakunayo Yatha. And the image given, the analogy is the way hundreds of monkeys rush towards a single Rakshasa was like birds that fly into a tree that is full of fruits. They're so eager. The monkeys rushed in with eagerness. But the Rakshasas weren't taking it quietly or lying down, as they say. They themselves, who were resembling large mountains, struck down the monkeys with heavy maces, darts, swords, and axes. They were chopping the monkeys down. And this mighty army of the monkeys was being struck down. The others ran to Sri Ramachandra, seeking his protection. Sharanyam Sharanam Yata Ramam Dasharathatmajam. Oh Rama, please protect us. Oh Rama, please protect us. Pahi, Pahi, please. Ramachandra cannot tolerate when his followers are being attacked and harassed like that. So Ramachandra took up his mighty bow and penetrated deep into the ranks of the Rakshasas. This powerful Ramachandra. So he's here also. Ramachandra is called Viryavan. Tato Ramo Mahateja Dhanur Adaya. He picked up his bow, Viryavan, Pravishasya Rakshasam Sainyam, Sharavarsham Vavarshacha. Entered the entire army. So he went right in, who himself Mahateja, was endowed with great prowess and energy, Sharavarsham Vavarsha, and started raining a shower of arrows on the Rakshasas, all single-handedly. He was showering so many arrows at the Rakshasas that none of the Rakshasas could approach Sri Ramachandra, although he had penetrated deep into the sea-like army. And the way is described as just the way a scorching sun cannot be approached by clouds. Similarly, this cloudy or cloud-like Rakshasas could not approach the shining Ramachandra. And what happened is they were trying to see where Ramachandra is. They were able to see the terrific activities of Sri Ramachandra, which was very difficult to perform for anybody else. But they were not able to see. So, terrific deed means Ramachandra picks up an arrow from his quiver, mounts it on his bow, stretches the bowstring, and releases the arrow, which then hits the opponent, the Rakshasa. And the Rakshasa's body will crash or get pierced and bleed and die. They were only able to see the effect, that is the Rakshasas dying, but they were not able to see Ramachandra himself on the battlefield because he was moving with such speed and alacrity like a flash of lightning. Rane Ramasya Dadrushuhu Karmanya Sukarananite. They were only able to see the effects. Why? Ramachandra was so fast, like lightning. So they were not able to see the form of Sri Ramachandra as he was releasing one after the other, thousands and thousands of arrows. And what happened? What were they able to see? The effects. And what is the effect of Ramachandra releasing arrows? Chinnam, Bhinnam, Sharair Dabdham, Prabhagnam, Sharastra Piditam, Balam Ramena Durdarshan, Ramam, Shighra Karinam. He was very quick at acting. And Chinnam, that the Rakshasas' armors, bodies, their arrangements of the battlefield was all broken. Chinnam. Bhinnam. It was all scattered. Sharair Dagdham. And by the arrows that Ramachandra is using, Dagdham, they were all burning. Prabhagnam. And he had completely broken, shattered, maimed by his arrows. Sharastra Piditam. Praharantam Sharireshu Tena Pashyati Raghavam. And as each one of them, in hordes of hundreds and thousands, are being killed, they were not even able to see Ramachandra. They were only able to see dead bodies. Esha Hantim Gajanikavesha Hantim Maharathan Esha Hanti Sharai Tikshnae Pradatin Vajibhi Saha. They were only able to say, oh, here is Sri Ramachandra finishing and killing all the elephants. There is Ramachandra making and killing all the Maharathis, the chariots and the great chariot warriors. And suddenly they would say, oh, here is Ramachandra killing with his sharp arrows all the foot soldiers along with all the horses. One time they saw him here, another time he was there, another time he was there. This is how fast Ramachandra was moving through the battlefield without anyone being able to check him. And the fight that was going on was doing so. And in this speed, the Rakshasas, when they're trying to fight Sri Ramachandra, because he's moving so fast, they're hitting each other. They're attacking each other because they thought Ramachandra is here. oh, Ramachandra is there. Because somehow the Rakshasas looked like Ramachandra for a moment to them. He's moving so fast. So by such speed and alacrity and heroism, the entire battlefield was put into confusion by Sri Ramachandra. Plus, he's fighting and all these mystic missiles that was presided over by the Gandharvas. The Rakshasas just saw that the army was being consumed, but they're not able to see Ramachandra. Suddenly, at one point, they can't see Ramachandra. They only get a little flash here and there, and suddenly they were seeing thousands of Ramachandra everywhere. Tesu Rama Sahasrani Rane Pashyanti Rakshasaha. But Rama Sahasrani, thousands of Ramachandra they were able to see on the battlefield. Punaha Pashyanti Kakutstham Ekameva Mahatmane. And suddenly they would only see one Ramachandra. Thousands, then one. Suddenly thousands of Ramachandra everywhere. So they became so confused and bewildered. Brahmanti Kanchanam, Radhanti Kanchanim, Kotim, Karmukascha Mahatmana. Because they saw thousands of Ramachandra, they saw thousands of bows, each bow golden, mighty, powerful. And Ramachandra was moving around like a firebrand, but they could not see Ramachandra suddenly. He seemed to have appeared in front of them. Suddenly they saw Ramachandra as Sudarshan Chakra, as a discus moving so fast around the battlefield. It looked like a discus chakra. It looked like the wheel of time. And Nignantam Yudhi Rakshasan. One after the other, the Rakshasas were killed because it looked like a large Sudarshan Chakra with its spokes, as if arrows were being shot out. And the entire place was such a sound, a horrible, unbearable sound was being produced by the movement of this chakra. So they were all completely bewildered. They didn't know how to fight. In one part of the day, which means an hour and a half, the Rakshasas who were capable of changing their form, they got onto different chariots, and as fast as the wind, then 18,000 powerful and fast elephants. They rode on 14,000 horses, and 200,000 soldiers were fighting with Ramachandra alone. Imagine the number. I'll repeat it for the sake of emphasis. In an hour and a half, an army of Rakshasas who could change their form at will were on a variety of chariots that would move at the speed of wind, were attacking Ramachandra. 18,000 very fleet-footed or fast-footed elephants, 14,000 horses with their riders, and a set of 200,000 Rakshasas on foot were fighting with Ramachandra, who was single-handedly finishing them off. Wow. And what was the impact? Their horses were killed, chariots were destroyed, the staff, the dhwaja, the flags were completely broken. Those who were on foot were killed. There was carnage everywhere. And that army, some of them retreated and ran away and hid in Lanka. Those who were on elephants, those who were on foot soldiers, they were killed. The entire battlefield looked as if the mighty Rudra, Lord Shiva, was fighting in the battle. To see this fight, because the Devatas had originally propitiated Ramachandra, that please come and fight with Ravana, kill Ravana, but not just killing him. We want to see you fight a battle, because when we see our hero in an action sequence and the stunts, it gives us a thrill that we can glorify you this way. Otherwise, for killing Ravana, Ramachandra doesn't have to come, just has to desire. And Ravana, and millions of Ravana will die. But the Devatas had this desire, so he's fulfilling the desires of his devotees, that showing his heroism and valor on a battlefield. And the Gandharvas, Siddhas, Devatas, Rishis, they all collected in the sky. And they were watching this action movie of Ramachandra as a hero with all the fantastic stunts. And in the sky, they were so thrilled that they were saying, Sadhu, Sadhu, Ramasya tat karma sampujayat. They were worshipping the great chivalrous, valorous, heroic activities of Ramachandra. Well done, bravo, bravo. At this time, Ramachandra spoke to Sugriva, who was right there. Along with Ramachandra was Vibhishana, Hanuman, Jambavan, Mainda, Dvivida also. And Ramachandra himself was surprised and said, wow, such power of using these mystic missiles exists in me. And I am not Lord Vishnu or Lord Shiva. I'm just an ordinary human being, but still, etad astrabalam divyam mama va trayambakasya va. I am neither divyam, I have all these divine weapons, and see how divine weapons can empower even an ordinary person. I'm not Vishnu, nor I am Lord Shiva. After killing that entire army, Ramachandra looked like Lord Indra, who had conquered any fatigue from firing all these missiles, was extolled and glorified and worshipped by all the celestial beings, and they're all feeling very jubilant. Ramachandra is not an ordinary human being. He is in the mood of a human being. He's in the form of a human being, although he's the supreme personality of Godhead. But a wonderful lesson or any reflection is these missiles, these celestial divine missiles, were given to him by Vishwamitra, his guru, Bala and Atibala. And Ramachandra is saying, I'm not a divine person, yet in me is this capacity of the power of all these mystic missiles. So all these anarthas that a conditioned soul has, one may think, I don't have the power to fight these anarthas. Which is true, one doesn't have, because Krishna says, Maya is very, very strong. Very strong. And Krishna says one cannot overcome this Daivihi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratya. What is the Maya? This being embodied in a structure of the five elements, plus the mind, the senses, and not being able to overcome them. But when one is blessed by one's guru and given Atibala and Bala, the Atibala is the chanting of the holy name, the power of the entire Guru Parampara, including the power of the Lord, the grace and blessings of his Hladini potency, even one will be amazed. How did I overcome these difficulties? Now, as a conditioned soul, one may think, hey, not too far ago, I was a slave to these things. But look at the glory of my Guru, that empowerment has helped me overcome some of these maladies that were plaguing me previously. Okay. Now, these mighty groups of armies that were sent by Ravana, thousands of chariots, thousands of elephants, horses, foot soldiers, all of them, when Ramachandra completely finished them off, some of them, a large part of them came back, and they were all, many of them were killed, so their bodies were brought back. They were surprised. How are we going to fight this one Rama? And when the dead bodies were brought, then the women that were in the city of Lanka, the Rakshasis, Vivida Hataputrascha Puroshantyo Hatabandhavaha Rakshasasya Saha Sangamya Dukkharta Paryadevayan. The ladies came running to these dead bodies. Some of them were their children, putraha, sons. Some of them were their relatives, their husbands, their kinsfolk, and they were all dead. And these ladies began to wail and cry. Now notice carefully what their crying and their lamentation is. One might think that they curse or blame Ramachandra. You know who they blame? They blame Shurpanakha. Because the problem was caused by Shurpanakha. So they say, oh, that old and hideous Shurpanakha. Katham Shurpanakha Vriddha, old person. Karala, very hideous. Nirnata Udari, one with a sunken belly. Asasada Vane Ramam, Kandarpa Samarupinam. How did she, so ugly, come to Sri Ramachandra, who himself is the god of love? He is the Cupid. In fact, he is the source of Cupid. How strange it is that Ramachandra is so delicate, Sukumaram, Mahasatvam, a very, very great presence about himself. Sarva Bhuta Hite Ratam, and he is the one that makes every living being joyful. And he is Ratam, he is involved in the welfare of all beings. Such a person was accosted by this hideous Rakshasi. Tam Drashtva Lokavadhya Sahina Rupa Prakamita. This lady was so enamored by lust. Hina Rupa. She had no good form, old, haggard. How strange. How strange it is. Now, how did that horrible, ugly looking Rakshasi, Shurpanakha, dare to invite Ramachandra to unite with her lustily? And because of our bad luck, that the entire Rakshasa race is now being killed. Previously also, Dushana, Khara, Trishira, all were killed because of this grey-haired, ugly-looking Shurpanakha. Because she tried to touch Ramachandra with her very unholy, contaminated hand. It was because of Shurpanakha that this bitter enmity between Rama and Ravana has started, because Ravana brought Sita here. It is Ravana's fault. And that fault became because, if someone is already an addict, let's say to drugs or smoking or alcohol, and someone who in the name of being a friend entices them, then they are at fault. Because that person, you can say, well, it was Ravana who kidnapped Sita. Yes, but Ravana is as weak. He is a servant of his senses. You can't hold that person fully liable. He could have said no, but he didn't have the strength to say no. But Shurpanakha is the one who tempted him. That's how they are crying. This 10-headed Rakshasa went and invited enmity with Sri Ramachandra. That great Viradha, even that Viradha, when he first carried Sita, Ramachandra single-handedly finished that Rakshasa, who otherwise was not easy to be killed. Then 14th, they're all recounting Ramakatha. The Rakshasis, while they are crying for the loss of their family members, are recounting Ramakatha. 14,000 Rakshasas in Janasthana were killed by Ramachandra, and each of his arrows resembled the tongues of fire. Khara was also killed in combat. So was Dushana and Trishira. Although they themselves are very powerful, Ramachandra's arrows were shining like the bright sun. At that time, Ravana's eyes should have opened to the reality when he knew that so many Rakshasas were. No. Then, Kabandha was killed by Ramachandra, whose arms were as long as 1 yojana, 8 miles long, who lived in such a wrathful condition that he would eat anybody, even if the prey was 8 miles away. He could catch and kill them. Now, when Ramachandra killed Kabandha, Ravana should have learnt his lesson, because news goes to Ravana. Then, Vali, such a good friend of Ravana, Vali was killed, although he's the son of Indra. So you can imagine how much strength he would have. Vali himself was like Mount Meru. When he was killed, that example should have taught Ravana a lesson. Who recounted all of this? Vibhishana has been telling him in the past. Hanuman had told him also. And the news also spread for some reason, I'm sure. Then, on Rishamukha mountain, this Vali, who could not go there. But Ramachandra got Sugriva, the power Sugriva, powerful one, from Rishamukha mountain, and enthroned him as the king of Kishkindha. Ravana should have realized at that time. Okay, let's take it very close to home. Our own Vibhishana, who, because of being very dharmic, was not at all in alignment with Ravana. And that Vibhishana, who could not find any shelter with Ravana, went and took shelter of Sri Ramachandra. Now this Ravana, if he had taken advice of Vibhishana, today Lanka would not have been filled with so much sorrow, and Lanka, which means decorated, is now no better than a crematorium. Looks like a funeral home because there are so many dead bodies. Okay. Ravana did not listen to Vibhishana because he's the younger brother. Kumbhakarna. Ravana should have realized that Kumbhakarna hatam shrutva Raghavena. When Ramachandra killed Kumbhakarna, who can kill Kumbhakarna? Nobody. At that time, he didn't learn a lesson. Atikayamcha, when Atikaya was killed, and Durmarsham Lakshmanecha hatam tada. Atikaya was killed. Then also, and even worse, Priyam cha Indrajitam putram Ravano na avabuddhyate. His very dear Indrajit was killed. And still, Ravana did not avabuddhyate come to his senses. And here I am. So each woman is crying. Mama putro, mama bhrata, mama bharta rane hataha. My son, my brother, my husband has been killed in battle. Ityesha shruyate shabdo rakshasinam kule kule. In each family, such cries were being heard all over Lanka. Chariots, horses, elephants, foot soldiers, everything, everyone has been crushed by this great hero Rama. Rane Ramena Shurena. Shura is very powerful, heroic Ramachandra. We believe it is Rudra, Lord Shiva himself, or maybe Lord Vishnu, the protector of the entire world, or that great Indra who has appeared here. Or is it Death personified himself, who's on this battlefield in the disguise of Ravana, in the disguise of Rama? Rama Rupena Yadiva Swayam Antakaha. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, time I am. I devour everything. I am death. Swayam Antakaha. Antaka means one who puts everything, who finishes everything. Rama Rupena. In the Rupa, in the form of Rama, is it death himself? Now with everyone dead, Ravana, who himself is the heroic fellow, although has a great boon from Lord Brahma, did not understand that boons will not give him indemnity against Sri Ramachandra. Although he is indemnified against all the devatas, Gandharvas, Pishachas, they cannot attack or fight a battle with Ravana. Plus, all over Lanka, there are evil omens. This tells us the destruction of Ravana by Rama is not far away. Although Ravana fearless against anybody in the universe, because Lord Brahma gave him this protection, but no protection against human beings. Ravanasya abhayam dattam. Brahma gave him fearlessness from everybody. Manushobhyo na yachitam. And this fellow did not yachitam, did not ask for indemnity or fearlessness from human beings. And this Rama is a human being. So I think it is very soon that Ravana might die in the hands of this human being. So they go through all what Brahma had given him boons, what he declared for Ravana. So these ladies, tightly holding one another in their arms, they were crying piteously on top of their voices in a very heart-wrenching tones because they were severely stricken with sadness. Itiva sarva Rajni Charastriya, the women of the Rakshasas or the Rakshasis, Parasparam Parirabhya Bahubi. They embraced each other as they are crying because they have the same issues that their family has been killed. Vineduraschaischa kada sudarunam, very, very ghastly, piteous condition that they had about themselves. There chapter 94 ends. Now in 95, Ravana wants to enter the battlefield. So we will stop here as a meditation for Ramanavami. These two chapters, as Ramachandra is our role model, although he is the supreme personality of Godhead, because he is in the human form, we take him as our role model. He is very relatable, and through him we are learning that we also have the Bala and Atibala type mantras that we can invoke the potency of the Lord, right? Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti Tatra Arpita. Oh Sri Govinda, you have infused in your names all your strength. Although, of course, the Idrisham, that my condition is such that Iha Janina Anuraga. I may not have any attraction for it, but I have the Bala and Atibala like very powerful mantras. Mantra and mantras, different ones, by which I can invoke and experience strength far beyond my abilities. That's a meditation. I have not got over it. I'm still a sadhaka. I'm expressing that I myself weak, myself still a long way to go. But there is so much hope when we see what Ramachandra is showing us through his example as a role model. Okay, I'm going to stop here and see if you have any thoughts, expressions, reflections, questions. Yeah, go ahead. Krishna Sundar.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hello, Prabhu. A very
Technical
nice class,
question?
Prabhu. No, not war-related question.
War related.
Actual appreciation for Lord Ram that
Ah,
in Mahabharata, Arjuna best was that 60,000 people he killed on when Jayadratha, when he planned to kill him. That also he has to go and make the horses drink water and all that stuff till the evening. But here you are saying like 1.5 hours, he killed 200,000 people. It's amazing. He was on any chariot, Prabhu, or he is
It doesn't say he was on
only.
no chariot. He's just moving through the army with his associates are there. So it doesn't say that he was on a chariot.
That's amazing, Prabhu. Another question I have is this Rakshasas. We also heard that Ravana ordered all dead Rakshasas to be thrown in ocean. So these Rakshasas which went to Lanka, are they special ones or they?
Well, it doesn't say. They were all pulled into Lanka back by their friends. And somehow these were the, otherwise the order was, I think the order, we didn't hear previously. I think at some point he will give the order, or it already passed that he has said throw them in the ocean. Some were brought back, dead bodies. Too much confusion to remember those instructions of Ravana perhaps on the battlefield when so much is going on by one person causing so much havoc is my
Yes.
guess. They are themselves running away from the battlefield.
Yes, bro. Yeah, amazing, bro.
Amazing. What a fight. Later, there is when Rama Ravana are fighting, no? We will hear a certain analogy that Valmiki gives. Fantastic verse. Fantastic verse. All the devatas have collected. And then we will hear that verse when that time comes.
When Ravana is fighting Rama, will he get chariot, bro? Rama will get chariot at the end.
Indra's chariot will come.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Pavan Sarovar, just say, speak up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavad. So nice, so beautiful. As I was hearing from you, I was thinking, as Sanjay was narrating the complete Mahabharata Yuddha to blind Dhritarashtra, I was feeling that I'm so blinded, and I have a person by Guru Maharaj Mercy who is such a high level who can narrate this katha. And just by being in your umbrella and hearing repeatedly this, there will be some values of Ram Katha. And the powerful mantra which you said that Bala Nati Bala is as powerful as chanting of holy name. And it bestows all this. So thank you so much for bestowing so much faith on me to have some glimpse to chant responsibly, attentively holy name. So thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
I'm Kripana at my stage, and definitely, as you blessed me in the beginning, I will be moving forward by the Daya Drishti and Kripa Kataksha of Mahajanas like you. Thank you
We
so
are
much.
all hopeful of the Kripa and Kataksha of the Guru and the Guru Parampara. The entire Ramayana is filled with mantras. The entire Bhagavatam is filled with mantras. Bhagavad Gita is filled, every verse is a mantra because Krishna is telling Arjuna, who is in a Vishada condition, lost, how to live life. So every verse has potency in it that helps move from this condition to a better condition, from this condition to a better condition. So these verses, if we remember, we recite, of course, the names of the Lord are the Atibala, if you want to call it that way. But there is so much being given to us. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for the expression.
I think Prabhu
There's
appreciation.
all the appreciation of Valmiki's writing. See the images that he creates, no? Ramachandra is there, he's there. Sometimes thousands of Ramachandras, sometimes only one is visible. Our mind, even in our mind's eye, to visualize and imagine is wow.
Another beautiful description you made, Prabhu, that the mothers and wives of dead Rakshasas,
Yeah.
they were saying a Ram Katha, that at this point of time, Ravana could have awakened himself. So, how Ravana is supposed to be hero and Veerman taking a lesson, but as is narrated in the beginning, but how these ladies got this point and they understood
They're
being
seeing,
environment of how they got this values of Lord Rama.
they're seeing in front of them the destruction. The news is there, no? It's not like only secret there. People talk. They are seeing what all is happening. But the nature of such attachment to sense gratification is Pashyannapi na pashyati. He's seeing, but Ravana cannot see. Ravana thinks, oh, I'll send a greater army. I'll send a stronger army. Just this morning, I was reminded of this verse. Matirna Krishne Paratasvatova. This little boy Prahlada is telling his father, Matirna Krishne. One's mind cannot be in Krishna. Cannot Paratasvatova, by someone else telling or on one's own effort. Why? Mitha abhipadyeta grahavratana. Grahavrata. He is attached to, Grahavrata is attached to mundane life. Adanta Govir. Adanta. Danta is controlled. Adanta, uncontrolled. Go be. Because by uncontrolled senses, punah charvita charvanana, he is forced to chew the same program again and again. And I'm not saying that I know better. I'm also, just this afternoon, I realized that I'm also chewing the chewed very nicely, tastefully. So once in a while, a little light bulb goes on, but it's the program, chewing the chewed, chewing the chewed. Adanta Govis. Punah charvita charvanana. Vishatam tamishram. Entered into darkness. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for chaining the topic. Anyone else has any reflection, comment? Okay. If not, we'll end here. Thank you very much. As far as next week, we will send you a text whether or not there is a class, because we have some Ramayana presentations in another city. And I think it's in the morning or so, if I'm not wrong, morning. So class may or may not happen, but we'll let you know for sure later in the week. Thank you very much. Until then, we have a lot of things to meditate on and feel infused, energized, nourished, elevated by our great role model and hero, Swayam Bhagavan Sri Ramachandra. Shri Shri Sita Rama Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.